Good morning, Husker fans. Welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel, and welcome to everybody who is following along here on the Big Red Banter and the Husker Big Red Facebook channels. And it is Las Vegas Bowl game day, the final game day of the year for Nebraska football. So we're going to bring it in with a little pregame chat. So if you want to, hop in, join us, and bring in the new year, I guess, with the Las Vegas Bowl, Utah, and Nebraska, and going to be, battling it out this afternoon, 2 o'clock Central Time, ESPN. So it should be a really interesting matchup. And Danny, how are you doing on this Wednesday morning, New Year's Eve, I guess? New Year's Eve
I'm
day.
doing well. I'm excited for the Las Vegas Bowl. I'm excited for Miami, Ohio State, and I'm just a lot of transfer portal rumbling. So this is actually a very good time of year right now. We got not that we're going to talk about it too much, but we got the basketball team with a big game on Friday and a big win last night. So a lot of things are trending upwards right now.
Yeah, I mean, the first half a little sluggish for the Huskers last night, but shot a little poorly. But man, the defense really was tremendous in the second half. 17 points allowed total in that second half. No 3-pointers, I don't think, to New Hampshire. So they almost, and I think the spread was, because sometimes they change it, when it's like live spread during the, when you're watching. Yeah. So I can't remember if the spread was 31.5 or it was 29.5 to start. But if it was, when I looked, it was 31.5, and New Hampshire guys scored like on the last minute, and that made it 31. So if that was the spread, like that would be a really bad way to lose on it. But anyway, good win for Nebraska's. Pumped for Friday's game, and I'm pumped for this Las Vegas Bowl. I know some fans aren't, but we're not going to get a chance to watch this team play football again till August, September. It's going to be 9 months till we see the Huskers play football again, and I'm excited for a chance to get 8 wins and chance to end this top 25 losing streak. I know that not very many people in Husker Nation are very optimistic that we're going to win this game. I'm not either, but I do think that we're going to make it competitive, and you never know. You just never know in these games, and it would be. I mean, I feel like Nebraska is due to win one of these games. Not saying that's going to happen today, but it would be a nice end to year 3 for Matt Rule if they could beat a team like Utah, especially without, Dylan Raiola playing quarterback. I think that would be a worthwhile statement to make today, and hopefully the Huskers can find a way to do it.
Well, I think they were able to win against UCLA with TJ, so I think they showed that they could win without Dylan, but this win would take it to another level. And yeah, I get that there's a lot of players out, and there's not going to be a lot of the stars, and I know fans are upset about some players not playing, like EJ and stuff like that, but I still am excited for this game. I'm excited, not maybe necessarily to get a victory, but to see how certain players carry over into next season. Like the Pinstripe Bowl last year was good morning, James. And the Pinstripe Bowl was a way where we saw Donovan Jones really kind of step up and play at a high level. We got a chance to take a look at some of the younger guys last year. So I'm curious to see who steps up today and if they can carry that over in the next season, kind of building on good habits.
Good morning, James. Good morning, Co. Good to see you guys again. Go Big Red.
This is kind of a weird time, so happy to see you both.
Yeah, we decided to, mix it up with a little bit different time today. So we figured we got the game going, trying to get our regular schedule back up with the holidays and everything. So, it's going to be a fun week, I think. I mean, we got not only this game, but top 25 basketball game tomorrow against Iowa, top 25 game against Michigan State on Friday. So 3 really important days in a row for Nebraska. And what's kind of nice too about this is I feel like once this game is over, then we're going to start. I mean, then the roster construction takes over because, man, the portal's opening up Friday. So, I mean, things are going to get really exciting, I think. And hopefully, have a new quarterback. Although I do think we'll see how TJ Lateef plays. But yeah, there's been Kenny Minchie's been coming up a little bit more. I know we're trying to talk about the Las Vegas Bowl, but his name, Steve Sipple, Tom Loy, seems like he might be the guy that Nebraska's kind of targeting for, one of their transfer portal quarterbacks, because they're going to need 2. I mean, TJ Lateef's the only scholarship quarterback, so you need at least 3, I would say, to go into a season. Yeah.
What do you think about Minchie? Because I've heard some fans, they are kind of wary of his inexperience and the fact that he hasn't thrown very many passes, but a lot of them, like me, like his upside and what he can bring to the table.
I like it. I think he would be a nice player too. I mean, he's a dual threat guy. I know he only threw 26 passes this year, He was 20-26 for 192 yards. He ran 7 times for 84 yards. So, I mean, he's a guy that has, that dual threat ability that Nebraska's been looking for. When you look back at him as a recruit, he was a really highly rated recruit. He was 169th overall. And he got beat out by a really good quarterback in CJ Carr, a guy that's probably going to end up playing in the NFL. So it's not that Minchie's not a good player. He's just in a situation where there's just two good quarterbacks. It's kind of like when that kid from Penn State transferred to Missouri, and he Prebill or whatever, because Drew Aller was already there. It wasn't that he was necessarily a bad quarterback, and he played fine for Missouri this year. So he wasn't like a superstar or anything, but I think you could expect very similar type production, but maybe even better. Like that's the thing with a guy like Minchie's. I feel like he does have upside. And another guy that I don't know if they're looking at him at all, but I really think that the Nebraska should look at Aaron Nolan too. The kid that, went to Ohio State, went to South Carolina. I mean, obviously Lonnie Teasley's going to have some, relationship with him. He hasn't played much. So I don't know. He's probably still going to cost a little bit of money, but so is
He was in
Elite
11. He was in the same Elite 11 group as Kalen and Raiola, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and for a while he was a 5-star. He kind of bumped down a little bit, but he was rated very closely to Dylan. But a dual threat guy and somebody that Ohio State knows what they're doing when they're developing quarterbacks. So I mean, he was there for a year, and then he went to South Carolina and he worked under Mike Shula, who's another guy that despite his off-field transgressions, he's a pretty good quarterback coach. He's coached NFL quarterbacks for a long time. So I feel like Aaron Nolan's got a pretty good learning, 2 years of learning how to play the position. And now somebody I feel like is going to get a good starter, because South Carolina, where he went to, they still got the Sellers kid, or Lenora Sellers. So there's just no avenue for him to start. So I honestly think
just agreed to a deal with Sellers the other day. I never thought I'd hear those words in college football, but
I know it's funny. Now the re-signing of a contract or whatever. It's a new world. But so of all the quarterbacks in the portal, man, like I would look at Aaron Nolan. But anyway, I do think that Minchie would be a nice guy. The thing I always concern me about Minchie is like, is he going to want to come to Nebraska? Because then it's a QB battle with him and TJ Lateef. And so it seems like there's a lot of risk on his side of things. But if he's confident that he can win the job, like more power to him. And I feel like, if it's Minchie and TJ Lateef, whoever comes out of that battle, we feel pretty good. And then you have a couple of quarterbacks too, because, whoever plays quarterback for Nebraska next year, they're going to be running. So, I mean, there's a very strong chance that, you're going to have multiple guys starting next year, because that's just, part of the reality when you play running quarterbacks. Sometimes they tend to get hurt.
And I know I saw some fans say, oh, he was part of the Notre Dame group that opted out of the bowl game. We don't want him. Well, you know who else opted out of a bowl game? Christian McCaffrey. And I'd take him any day of the week. So there you go. I think, even as long as he can, like, I have a very short list of things that you have to do where I don't want you. As long as you don't murder somebody, as long as you don't harm somebody, as long as you're clean off the field, as long as you don't cause trouble in the locker room, like, I don't care if you sat out the bowl game, sat out 10 games. If you're a good kid and can play, I want you to come to the program. And I think holding the opt-out against Minchie as a reason why I don't want him is kind of stupid, quite frankly. But I would love to have him.
Yeah, it's not like it was his decision to not, I mean, that went a little above his head. I do think that Notre Dame did the wrong thing not playing.
I definitely agree with that.
But anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think, Aiden Childs is another guy that's been mentioned quite a bit. And there's just really, like I said, I feel like he could end up at Northwestern, who just got Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator, which is really interesting. I don't know what Chip Kelly is doing with his life, but
he's trying to realize that he's better in college and just stay there. And now he's trying to resurrect his career.
Yeah, it's like, probably still could be the UCLA head coach if he had just not, walked away from that job. But, anyway.
He still probably could have been at Ohio State and been competing for a national championship right now.
Yeah, so just a weird situation, I guess, altogether with Chip Kelly. But that should probably help Northwestern a little bit. I don't know how that's going to make a game changing. It probably make their offense a little bit better.
Chip's always been weird. Remember the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles? Like that blew up in his face quite mightily. So it's always been a thing with him.
Yeah, he should have just stayed at Oregon, man. That's the thing, is some coaches, like, they don't know when they have a good thing, and then they try to get away from it. Which, I mean, I understand, because because you get a lot of money or whatever. But Yeah, Minchie's going to be one to watch. I mean, it sounds like from different reporters, it sounds like Sorsby is actually. Oh crap! Oh, my LSU actually. That's where I saw for Sorsby was LSU. And then the other thing that I read was that Josh Hoover is going to wind up at Indiana. That'll be their replacement for Mendoza.
Huh.
So, which makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a super productive kid. And then if you assume that Rocco Beck's going to Penn State, that makes sense to me. I think Sam Levitt's probably going to wind up going to Oregon. That's
Yeah.
my prediction, unless Dante Moore stays. And then who knows about Raiola? I mean, I really, I know there's been talk about Louisville. And that, I mean, Jeff Brom knows what he's doing in terms of quarterback development. I still think Miami would be a great fit for him. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
I
But
don't know if Mario would put up with all the extra BS, though. I mean, he does run a tight ship, and
that's true.
the tight ship is getting them into the college football playoff semifinals tonight. So, I mean, he does it well. So I'll give him
Yeah,
that.
that's going to be an interesting matchup because, last time Mario Cristobal faced Ohio State as the head coach of Oregon, they beat Ohio State in Columbus, and they ran the ball all over the Buckeyes. So it's going to be really interesting to see that dynamic because he is more of that, trust my offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have Carson Beck,
Great offensive line developer.
but how'd they win last week? It was their offensive line and their defense, their line play. They dominated the game, and then they broke through some runs in the fourth quarter. And I think they're going to have to make it a similar kind of game today. But you look at Ohio State. I mean, they're a great team, but against Texas they scored 14 points, and against Indiana they scored 10, 13. I can't remember, but so I feel like Miami can do what those two teams did to Ohio State. And Julian Sanford, as crazy as he's still in his first year as a starting quarterback, so. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if Miami's going to pull an upset, but I definitely would consider strongly taking Miami with the points. I mean, 9.5 seems like a bit too large for me, but I understand because Ohio State is a loaded team. But I do think that the offense and defensive line in Miami is going to give them a little bit of trouble.
Honestly, Corey Heatherman is a great defensive coordinator for Miami,
Mm-hmm.
former Minnesota corners coach or defensive line coach, I think it was. But you know as well as I do how much trouble the Gophers gave us over the years with Heatherman's defensive schemes and stuff. So he's a great defensive coordinator, and he is really kind of rising his stock and seeing his stock improve, and he's done a great job with the defensive line. And one thing about PJ Fleck, as much as we all hate him, he's a great developer, and he pays attention to the details, and you're seeing that show up in Heatherman's defense for Miami.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. So it's interesting. It's kind of like how they've got the playoff format set up. We got the Citrus, the ReliaQuest Bowl, Las Vegas Bowl. Then we got the Cotton Bowl tonight, Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl tomorrow. So it should be a really exciting lineup. And they did. I have to give them credit. The College Football Playoff Committee, or not the committee per se, but the organization of the way that they changed the rules to fix the seeding. Like I feel like we have 4 top tier quarterfinal games this year, but last year we didn't really have that. I mean, it was Arizona State and Texas, Boise State and Arizona State should have never been in the quarterfinals. I mean, they should have at least had to earn you know what I mean, they should have had to earn their way into that bid. So I feel like this year, if you look at the bracket, we've got full every team that's left, you could make a case for them winning the national championship, and it wouldn't be that crazy. I mean, even Alabama, it's still Alabama. They're still one of the most talented teams, in the country. So, I mean, Ole Miss, there's 8 really talented teams, and so I think we're going to see, some good football over the next 2 days.
Last year was like, oh wow, cool. It's the game's on. Now it's like the games are on. I got to watch these. And
yeah, because I mean, you had Oregon, Ohio State was the big one, and that ended up being kind of a bust. But Georgia, Notre Dame was good too, although Georgia's quarterback was hurt, so it was kind of like, but the other 2 games, it was like these 2 teams, they shouldn't be in the spot that they are, and so I like that they fixed the seeding. They got to fix them. They got to fix the committee part of it, but I mean, whatever.
They do, but Troy Dannon's on it, so if that helps us get to the college football playoff over the next couple of years, I'm all for it. And the other thing they need to fix is January 19th or whatever is too late for the final. Like, that's just a lot of waiting. I miss the days of maybe like January 8th, the national championship. I thought that was perfect, and now you got all these transfer portal things on top of it, and it's like, ugh. Way too
Yeah,
competitive.
if you set it up perfectly, you could have, your semifinals on New Year's Day, Rose Bowl, and then
Yeah.
whichever other game, and play the play the first round conference champion, or the second week, the week after conference championships. They have a whole week they don't play games. The Army Navy game, like just
Yeah. Yeah.
move up
Perfect.
the Army Navy game. Well, I guess they can't, because in case Army or Navy makes the championship game. So I don't know.
This is
But
a
yeah,
good
they
question.
do need to move it up. Any chance of getting Dylan Barrimon when he visits, or Berryman? I think so. I think
Yeah.
Nebraska's in a good spot here. The other team that's really battling is Kentucky, which they've got a new coaching staff now, so that's not to say that they can't come in and get it. But I don't know, the kid's from Texas. He was, or from Louisiana, excuse me. He was committed to Texas, decommitted. He's ranked in the top 100 by 24/7. He's 199th in the composite ranking, 6'2", 330 pounds. Like, this is the guy you go all in for in your NIL budget for this 2026 class, because he'd be a game changing
Yeah.
commitment. And I mean, if you watch this guy's highlights, like, holy crap, he's explosive off the ball. He's the kind of guy who lives in the backfield of opponents, and Nebraska hasn't had many guys like that. I mean, Ty Robinson and Nash, were probably the closest thing that they've had, and so this guy, I feel like, could be as effective a Nash Hutmacher type. He not just a nose tackle either. He can move. He's got, like, his first 2 seasons of high school football, I think he had like 10 sacks, which that's not necessarily going to translate over to the Big Ten, but I do feel like he is more than just a guy who can, more than a space eater. He is a disruptive defensive tackle, and I feel strongly that Nebraska's got a good shot to get him. Not a guarantee, but I would give them a better chance than Kentucky right now.
I agree. And when you have that disruptive defensive lineman, it makes such a big difference for the rest of the defense. It makes the secondary's life easier. It makes the players, around them, be able to do their jobs better. Not even just someone who could get sacks and pressure the quarterback, just a space eater who can fill those gaps. And Berryman could definitely do that. I feel like we have a great chance for him. And I guess while I'm thinking of it, again, you probably read a little bit more than me. What's the read on a defensive line coach? Is Matt Rule going to coach the defensive line by himself?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, to be honest. There was one name that kind of made sense that I heard just on the social media rings. It was, I can't remember what it was now. Franco Cam is who
Yep.
was a name that got mentioned. He's with the Toledo, or he was with Toledo before, and then I think he spent this year in the NFL with, like, the Houston Texans, which I know that probably will give people, like, some PTSD with the Terry Braden thing. However, this guy's been an experienced defensive line coach. Like, he's coached defensive line with Matt Rule at Baylor. He coached defensive line with the Panthers. He coached with the Raiders. Went back to Toledo and did a really good job there in 2023 and 2024. I think Toledo had, like, some of the most sacks in the conference. Like, he had 39 sacks in his first season in 2023. That defensive line. So I don't know. That would be a guy to know. I mean, I definitely threw that out, like, as a kind of a joke, like, on my Facebook page. Hey, should Matt Rule be the defensive line coach, like, full time? I don't think he could do it during game days. Like, when they have their, like, personnel meet. Like, he's got to coach the team, but, like, honestly, he could do it during the week. I mean, coaches coach quarterback. Quarterbacks all the time, or they call plays, like, or whatever. So I don't think that, like, him playing, like, a greater role during the week. I think he will do that. He said he's going to do that. He said that's one of the mistakes that he's made so far in his first 3 years. He hasn't done enough coaching. And so, I don't think he's necessarily going to be, like, the full-time D-line coach, but I do think he's going to get down there in the trenches, because that's what he knows. He's always been a line coach. So, I like that part of it, but
Yeah.
as far as who they're going to hire, I have no idea at this point. It's really kind of weird that there hasn't been any buzz about it at all, and we're almost to the portal opening up. So,
Well, the Texans are in the playoffs right now, so maybe it is Frank. Maybe we're waiting. I mean,
yeah,
and
could
go ahead,
be.
sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that could be. Yeah,
I mean, and the thing about Oakham, against Terry Braden, is that I don't believe Braden had any college experience when he came to Lincoln. I could be wrong on that. I'll check that right now just to make sure. But
he didn't. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
he did. Okay.
he didn't. He did not.
Oh, okay. He didn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Oakham, like you mentioned, he coached at Rice, he coached at Baylor, defensive line coach. He did a great job with Brian Burns in Carolina, and I don't want to hype him up too much in case we don't get in case we don't get him, but he would be a great get. And the only thing I worry about with Matt Rule taking on more coaching duties is, and I saw this with Bill Belichick, which is why I'm even bringing this up, is just when head coaches do too much and try to control every single aspect, sometimes that can't work well. And I'm not saying that, coaching the defensive line is controlling every single aspect, but I just don't want him to put too much on his plate. With Belichick, it was an ego thing, but with Rule, I think, I don't think, at the end of the day, Rule will end up like Belichick and trying to micromanage every single facet of the organization. But I just am weary of that, just based off of being a Patriots fan.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's nothing. I definitely can see that. I just think, if you're, I just think sometimes, especially when like you're in this development stage, like I just think, he's a good coach, and if he has the chance, he should do it. So, but yeah, that is a position group that he needs to get. He needs to get that hire right, whoever the defensive line coach is.
Yeah, and I think, whoever it is, they are going to have some pieces that they can develop. I do think there is talent there. I don't think there's enough impact talent, but I do think that there's talent that you can develop, because we saw some regression from, guys like Van Poppel last year. And I do think there is more that you can get out of a guy like Van Poppel, but I do think there are pieces, to kind of build with in that defensive line room. The problem is, Braden didn't really have too much time to recruit, so the recruiting aspect of it is going to be a little bit rough to start off. But whoever it is, I hope they're a good recruiter as well.
So thanks for the question, Kevin Reardon from Facebook. If he, meaning Matt Rule, starts position coaching, does he stop the house rules? That just seems like a ton of extra stuff. I mean, I don't like them. I wish he would stop the house rules anyway. I knew she would have never started it. I mean, I just think it's not that much extra. Just like I'm saying, like when he's at practice, instead of like, I imagine he's probably, like observing and, I don't exactly know what I mean, every coach is different, like going to different, like some coaches go to different groups and watch. I mean, some have different focuses. Like I'm just saying in that time where, probably at the start of practice, just based on my experience, you do your individual position group drills. Like I'm just seeing him like, instead of like kind of watching the entire thing, just spending more time with the defensive line during that part of practice, not the entire practice. So yeah, I don't think like, and that's why obviously he's going to need a position coach, because he has too much on his plate to do all of that stuff. But I think at times, like especially during fall camp, during spring ball, like there's going to be times where, they're not preparing for an opponent, and it's more about just like getting the fundamentals right. And so I do think there's going to be opportunities for him to do that. So I mean, I don't see him stopping the House Rules podcast though. So as much as I wish that he would.
He's still got you all talking about it. So I mean, he's still the real winner here. I just think it's hilarious. Fans get so mad about house rules. It's like, welcome to the new age. It's not 1975 anymore. But anyway, I think he can still probably do it. I mean, it's an hour of his day, and Tay Ellis is also doing a podcast. So I've actually listened to it a couple of times. It's not bad. No, I'm excited that they provide that insight and what they had to say, because there was a time when, the coach would not even let the media come to the practice, and now we're getting insights there instead of being shut out. So that's good. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is what it is. I never bought that it was gonna like, and I still don't buy that it will help Nebraska like as a recruiting tool, but like it's not that big of a deal. So anyway.
Well, young kids don't watch us. They listen to podcasts and like stuff like that. They don't necessarily watch YouTube shows. I love YouTube shows, but
well, I know, but I mean that's what he's doing it though. Like, I mean, I don't think it's gonna like I said, I mean, it can't hurt, but I don't think it's gonna like, I don't think kids are coming because of the Matt Rule podcast. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I mean, like it's just like I wish he had. It's just like at some point it's like, coach with average record does podcast. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean,
it's a little,
I mean, he may have an average record, but the funny thing is, I was looking at the other day, he's done more for Nebraska in his 2 years in terms of getting to 2 bowl games than like the previous 4 coaches. So I don't know. It's like, yeah, he has an average record, but at the same time, he's done more than basically the last like 3 coaches that we've had. So I don't know.
Well, the last two, because Bo Pelini won a hell of a lot of games here, so we can't say the last three, the last two coaches.
I was counting Mickey, but I guess Mickey's an interim, so it didn't. He doesn't count, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I get it. I think he's doing a better job, and it would be nice to they got to start winning some of these games though. I do think the next this season, year 4, year 5, like the next 2 years are going to really define what his tenure is. So at some point, he's got to start winning more than 7 games. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. Like I realize where they were and where they've how far they've come, but they've got to take the next step too. So we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see some of that today. I think the quarterback position will be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with TJ Lateef today, because this Utah defense, one thing that hasn't been talked about very much is they don't stop the run very well. 181 yards rushing compared to 173 yards allowed for Nebraska. So like Utah gives up more rushing yards per game, more rushing yards per attempt than Nebraska does. So I think that kind of shows too the difference because I just don't think you could have a run defense that bad in the Big Ten and win that many games. Like I think that's just kind of a function of being in the Big 12, and everybody seems to run the spread offense, and everybody seems to run the quarterback. So I don't know if that's like part of it, but it does seem like what TJ or what Holgerson said yesterday about Lateef. They said that he wasn't running Lateef in practice until a couple of days ago, but Matt Rule said that he's 100%. So like if he can't run, like I don't know why he's playing in this game. So like I need to see TJ Lateef doing like some zone reads today. Like I really.
What else do we have at the quarterback position?
Who cares? Throw him out. I mean, like my point is like if we don't win, like I guess my point is this: like if you put TJ Lateef out there, but you're not letting him use like running and do all that stuff, like you're probably going to lose anyway. So like if he's healthy, I just think the full playbook, needs to be open. Like, who cares? Like if he gets hurt, like, oh, well, like this game doesn't matter that much, but like, I would like to win it. Like for sure. I don't want to lose the game because they were afraid to call run plays with TJ Lateef. That's what, you know what I mean? Cause like, I just feel like with the way that this Utah defense works, and that's the way to attack it. I mean, this is a very good pass defense. And I know they're not going to have all their, one of their best pass rushers that is hurt. They're going to be missing some guys on the offensive line, but I do think like, TJ's going to have to use his legs if they're going to win this game.
Again, I mean, they're not going to tip their hand at a press conference. So TJ will probably use his legs. And I do think maybe not TJ, but guys like Nelson and Mosey will be featured a lot today.
Yeah, well, I think they need to get in that spread. They run that zone read stuff, that they basically couldn't run with Dylan because he's just too slow. He just couldn't run it. I mean, and he wouldn't keep it. Like the TJ can make hay on those plays. And then the other thing where he can make hay is the RPO action too. Like I think he's a very, going to be very, Dylan was good at the RPO stuff, but TJ too. And the fact that TJ can actually run. So yeah, it'll be really interesting. I'm excited to see the offensive line, like Tyler Knack. I mean, that guy's getting me excited to, watch this team play every time he talks. Like, he just, even though he's got a broken hand, it seems, he, when he's talking up Jeep Wade and kind of the fundamentals and things like that. Yeah, I'm expecting those guys to play well. I think the defense will play better. I don't see how they could play worse or play as bad as they did in the last 2 games. Like I just don't see that. I just think they have to be better, and I do think it's going to make a difference having things simplified. And Matt Rule made the right decision, I think, to fire John Butler, and I think that we'll see why today because the defense will play better without him there.
Yeah, I think Butler ruffled a lot of feathers in his time last season. I had heard that, but I'm glad that they're getting a fresh start. And remind me the name of the guy that was working with the defensive line again. I'm blanking right now.
Oh, Tollefson, Dave Tollefson.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if we'll see any of his influence show up today.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it all kind of works out, and then we'll be going into the transfer portal. But I mean, at least right now, Nebraska hasn't really lost. I mean, anybody. I mean, I know they got Raiola, but nobody else that I would say.
But that's it, I think.
Yeah, so nobody super notable, no starting caliber players. And honestly, like if you look at the transfer portal right now, I'm sure there's more guys that are gonna go in there, but it's kind of weak sauce. There's not, I mean, there like quarterback, there's some quarterbacks in there, but like if you're looking at the top defensive linemen, like there's not many guys in there. So like, and then that's kind of what I think is gonna happen. I think the portal is gonna be more dried up of talent because teams just have the resources to secure it. Like you don't have to, like if you're at Indiana now, you don't have to go to Ohio State or Michigan or Alabama to get paid. You can get paid at Indiana. You know what I mean? So it's like why you're already in a good situation, and if you can get paid as much as at your current school as you could at the next school, why go? And so I do think you're going to see more of that, and that's why I look back at high school recruiting, and that's what you have to get it done in high school recruiting, because if you're going to rely on the portal for more than a player or two, like it's just a risky proposition, because I just feel like the talent there, like basically you have to crazy overpay for talent in the portal. It's like NFL free agency. The true all pro players, like the game changing players, rarely make it to free agency in the NFL. And I think that's going to be eventually what we see in the transfer portal. The true impact players, the guys that are really like helping you win national championships, they're not going to be there. Like, Ohio State got lucky because Nick Saban left, but like Caleb Downs types of guys, like they aren't going to be in the portal ever. Like that's just not going to happen.
I agree, and I still do think the portal will be an effective way to build, but you're not going to be able to build whole rosters off of the transfer portal.
Yeah, I think it's a way to fine tune. I don't think you can. I think you have to build through recruiting. So, yeah, they need to get Dylan Berriman and lock it up a little bit with this 2027 class. And so, yeah, hopefully that will happen. But yeah, it's just was kind of startling to me when I was looking at like the defensive linemen. Like, there's just not a lot there. So,
well, I mean, it officially opened on Friday, so you never know. There could be more coming in.
Yeah, I'm sure there will. I'm sure there will be. Once the playoff is over, I'm sure some of those guys will start to like triculate in. But yeah, it just like outside of the quarterbacks, there's some running backs in there and receivers. But when I was like on the D line, it just was like, oof, hopefully some more guys get in here, because there's like 2 or 3 like decent ones, and that's the thing, is everybody needs them. So Nebraska's been mentioned with a couple. Ezra Christensen from New Mexico State is one of them. The JUCO kid from Kansas State, I'm blanking on his name right now, I'll have to pull it up, but those are a few guys that are kind of on the radar. But there's some of the top like 10 players in the portal on the D line, so it's not going to be easy. Who gets the most carries today? And what wide receiver gets the bulk of the catches? I'm going to say that Isaiah Mosey gets the bulk of the carries today. I think he's Nebraska's best back right now, but I could see Nelson getting some chances too. I don't know about Quentin Ives. He hasn't carried the ball since Houston Christian, so I'm not sure if he's going to be in the mix at all or not.
Yeah, I would agree with Mosey. And then for bulk of the catches, I'm going to say Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah, I could say, I could see that with Ja'Cory Barney today. I know that Holgerson kind of mentioned Quinn Clark as a guy that's getting more more reps, so he could be a guy to look out for today. Cortez Mills too, but I would say Ja'Cory Barney, I think would be a good prediction there.
And Dane Key, obviously will be a part of the mix, and I'm curious to see how he does. I know some fans were upset at his production, but I thought he did okay. The one thing that he struggled with this season, I thought, was separation, but he was a productive receiver when he had the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he didn't quite meet my expectations. I thought he was going to be more of an impact player. I thought he would be like more in line with like an all Big Ten, like an all conference type of receiver. And so he didn't really deliver on that part of it. He was okay. Like, yeah, I thought he would be better beating man coverage, and that's kind of where they've struggled. And that's going to be an issue today, because that's what Utah does. They're going to come up and man press you, and that's just what they do. So yeah, Barney, Isaiah Hunter,
have a lot more speed on the field, I think.
Yeah, those guys have to, work on beating that man coverage. So yeah, I don't know. It is interesting. Sometimes it felt like, and this has been the past couple of years, where the wide receiver room really got talked up in the preseason, and then they didn't really meet expectations, I would say, during the regular season. So I don't know. Hopefully that changes next year.
Well, the offensive line hasn't been good. I mean, as much as we want to dunk on Dylan, the offensive line didn't give him a ton of time to throw. And granted, it was his uncle, but I think an improved offensive line next year will make a big difference.
I mean, I do think there's part of it, because like there was times where if the ball's not out in 3 to 4 seconds, like the offensive line did its job. Like if you get 3 seconds to throw the ball, like they did their job. And there was plenty of times this year where the offensive line did their job and the receivers and the quarterback did not. So like I know a lot of the sacks were on them. But even in that Minnesota game, like sometimes it's like he had all day and guys, like I don't know what was happening with the routes. Like guys just aren't getting open. I do think part of it is he was just, watching the rush more than he was watching the whatever was happening down the field. And I mean, that's on the offensive line. You can't let your quarterback do that. You can't let your quarterback get in a situation where he's worrying about the pass rush more than, trying to discern what the coverage is.
I think he got sacked like 7 times.
I mean, 7 times against Michigan, 9 times against Minnesota. So yeah, I think it was just all of it. I think it was the quarterback. I think it was the receivers not getting open. I think it was the line. I mean, sometimes it clearly was the line. The tackles sometimes were getting their butts whipped, especially when Pritchett wasn't out there. Then it really got ugly. So I think, it'll be interesting. So Dane equal transfer portal ad, rarely live up to the bill. They have to pay to get them. Yeah, that's kind of the thing is you have to overpay for these guys. And then a lot of times they don't really work out. I mean, I don't think this Deshaun McCullough met expectations either. Like he was okay, but like he was supposed to come in and be like a major pass rusher for Nebraska, and that just never materialized.
Well, I do think some of it had to do with scheme, and I would be very curious to see next year what some of these guys are able to do. I felt the same way about Noweri, even though like he played well. I felt like the scheme last year was limiting him in some ways.
Yeah, he started well, and I think he still, has upside. But yeah, Deshaun McCall, that was one I really thought he was going to be, like they're like, oh, this guy can be an NFL basically pass rusher. That was kind of the idea when they added him, and it just didn't happen. So Marshall was a hit. Who else could you say that?
Hunter.
Yeah, and Isaiah Hunter was definitely, I mean, he was the better receiver out of Dane Key, like no question. If I had to go, if there was one receiver you would take off this team, it wouldn't be Isaiah Hunter. Like that dude's a stud. So yeah, I mean, and I don't think that Pritchett, honestly, like I think that Pritchett was fine. Like I personally, I think that Elijah Pritchett, played more up to his value than Dane Key and Deshaun McCullough. And I don't think it's that close, honestly. Like when he was out there after that first, like he started slowly, had penalty issues or whatever. But after they started like starting him, he was actually pretty good. He missed that Minnesota game and that really hurt. So like the pass protection was markedly better when Elijah Pritchett was out there.
Yeah, for his late hit. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so dumb.
I think he was feeling the emotions of all Husker fans that night. Just needed to take his anger out somewhere, and unfortunately, cost him.
Pritchett was good after the first 5 games. That is, if he sticks around next year, I think he will. I'm sure that they're paying him quite a bit of money. So I don't see him. I don't think he's done well enough to go to the draft yet. I do think he would probably get drafted, honestly, but probably not till later in the draft. So yeah, another solid season from him, and he could be maybe a day 2 pick, but we'll see.
I'm excited to see what he does at Jeep Wade. I really am.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Jeep Wade does too with Preston Tamua, Grant Bricks, Gibson Pyle. Like there's some pieces, on this offensive line. You still have Gunnar Gatula, Sam Sledge, so, and then you
Landon Davis.
Then you look at some of the guys that they could potentially bring over from, South Carolina and Georgia Tech. I do expect them to add multiple guys on the offensive line. That's not based on any, intel that I have. I just think it's going to happen. So, I mean, there's, I think 3 South Carolina offensive linemen in the portal right now. So I have to think Nebraska gets at least one of those guys.
And one or two Georgia Tech guys as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can supplement there. I mean, I think Nebraska could use another offensive tackle. Like, I'd rather not have to play Gatula at the right tackle spot. I do think that there's a chance that Bricks or Tamua could win that spot. Grant Bricks is why hasn't Grant Bricks played? Like that's just, I do not understand that. Like I get that Turner Corcoran's been here and like he's done all this stuff, but like he's not going to be part of the program anymore, and he wasn't even that effective. So it's like I don't know. And sometimes I do think that Matt Rule like just plays too much into the senior aspect of it. Like these guys have been here, and like I get that, and like I don't hate that part of it, but it seems like we've wasted an opportunity to see if Grant Bricks can actually play or not over this last month, to see a guy play that we already know can't play. So I don't know. Like I know it's a tough thing, and it can be kind of a dick move to be like, hey, you're not very good, and we're just going to bench you for your last 2 games. But I don't know. I just like it's. I do feel like that at least there could have been some rotation. There could have been some rotation for Grant Bricks, because now it's like we just wasted his sophomore season sitting number 2 on the depth chart to a guy that's really not that good. So I don't know. That whole situation kind of frustrates me.
It's a tough situation. I wouldn't want to be the one to have to deal with it because I understand both sides of it. But I would really love to see Grant Bricks this next year, and I think we are going to. I think he's going to have a big impact on the offensive line, and I think a lot of these guys haven't been coached properly. So I'm very curious to see how this line shapes out for next year. And the line that we see today is not going to be the line that we see next year, most likely. So I am very curious to see what direction this position group goes in.
Yeah, there will be. I mean, Justin Evans, I think, will be back, so he'll be there. You'll see Pritchett. I don't know. We'll see about Tyler Knack. I feel like he might have found a spot at guard. We'll see. I mean, he's going to have to compete for that, I think. But yeah, outside of Evans and Pritchett, probably the two solidified positions. There'll probably be some holdovers that start, and then maybe a couple of new additions. But I do agree with Cole. It'll be interesting to see how he shakes up things today on the O-line. I don't know if they'll shake up anything. Like they'll probably just trot out the same, Turner, Corcoran, and probably the same guys that they have, throughout the past few weeks of the season, Leftoski, all those guys. But they have played better, especially in the run blocking, I think, than people give them credit for. So,
yeah.
It would be nice to see them go out and play well today and like protect, and it'd be nice to see this offense, have a really good outing today without Raiola. And just how funny would that be? He enters the transfer portal, and then you turn around and get your first ranked win in a decade. I don't know. Sometimes that's the way sports work. It doesn't always make sense, but Nebraska's due for a day like that. I know we've been saying that for ever since we started this podcast, so that day may never come, but they're due to have like a breakout win like this. So maybe today's as good a day as any.
Without both Raiolas, because I think, honestly, Donovan was really hurting some of the offensive line's development.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he, probably not going to get hired anywhere next year. So that'll be, I don't know, maybe he'll find somewhere.
He'll be going wherever Dylan goes, because Dylan will want some sort of package with his uncle, and it'll be a non-negotiable deal that Don will negotiate, and everybody will be happy. Dayton will get a scholarship, and although he just won the state title, so I mean there is something to that, but I mean nothing like riding on your brother's coattails.
Yeah, I mean, not that I've been following it that closely, but I haven't seen any schools like express any interest in him at all. So, yeah, I don't know, the whole Utah. It's just going to be really, really interesting, this matchup. Because you've got Utah with Morgan Scaly, coaching his first game, which he was going to always take over as the head coach. So, yeah, it's just going to be an interesting dynamic, because you went from like, oh, this is going to be Kyle Whittingham's last game, to now it's the first game of Morgan Scaly. So yeah, I don't know. It's Nebraska's kind of caught in a weird situation with their opponent, but maybe that'll favor them, because like maybe some of these guys will be, like I said, maybe they'll be thinking about like going to the portal or taking a coaching job somewhere else, and so maybe Nebraska will be the more focused and kind of unified team today.
I mean, they're missing their starting quarterback, their starting running back, and a lot of actually, I think those are the only two pieces. But I mean, they're missing.
But I mean, they missed the starting quarterback the last month, though, so it's not like really new. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
True, yeah. I mean,
the Emmett Johnson pieces. When I looked at the rushing yards, and I was like, oh my god, if Emmett Johnson was playing, I think Nebraska could win this game if Emmett Johnson was playing.
And I totally get why he's not playing, because one bad injury
for sure, yeah.
In the Las Vegas Bowl, like some fans like, oh, why didn't he play? Loyalty to the team. One bad injury in the Las Vegas Bowl, one bad knee injury, and your career is done. I don't blame him for not playing at all.
No, I don't blame him either. I wish he was playing for my own selfish reasons.
Running back's a tough position in terms of longevity, trying to keep your body healthy and trying to avoid injuries. But, we were worried coming into the season, would he be able to hold up? And he sure as shit did. He held up in a big way. He held up in a big way. And 3-star kid from Minneapolis, I believe. And was he a Frost recruit, one of the last Frost recruits?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was one of the last Frost recruits. Yep.
For all of Scott Frost's misses and stuff like that and extracurricular stuff during his tenure, he was decent at talent evaluation, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Emmett Johnson was kind of a late add in the 2026 class. I remember we
Yeah.
switched running backs coaches, and he got in there, and he really was impressive, right away. I remember in 2023 he got some carries and produced, produced again in 2024, and then finally got his chance in 2025. And incredible season, the best season we've seen from any Husker in a decade, easily.
I'm hoping that Amir Brown can come in soon and do the same, or maybe Mosey or Nelson or Ives.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely shocked that he being Emmett was able to stay healthy last year. Props to him for sure. And it's his running style. Honestly, that's how he did it. It's not that, because like if you watch him run, he doesn't get hit very much, like in a straight on type of way, because he's juking and like honestly, I'm not trying to say this like like when he would run this year, he reminded me a little bit of Barry Sanders, and I'm not trying to like get too crazy.
No, I know what you mean.
But just in the way that he made it so hard for guys to hit him. Like he just didn't, like Matt Rule made that point like halfway through the season. And like, then I started watching him and I was like, oh my God, he's right. Like Emmett does not get hit very much. Like even between the tackles, like he's juking and jiving and darting. And like, so he gets hit, but it's like, he's not getting like the big body shots. And so it really was. And I don't know if like that was just him improving this offseason, like what he did, but man, his footwork and all that, like was incredible for a guy that's that small to carry that big of a load. Like you have to have dynamic footwork, and that's how those guys, like those smaller backs, like the Barry Sanders and like Christian McCaffrey, too. Although he is, obviously he's a very built type of guy, but like
he's superhuman.
But so Emmett's
Le'Veon Bell came to mind when I was watching Emmett Johnson a lot too.
Yeah,
he was
the
patient.
footwork.
Yeah.
Yes, the footwork. Yeah, I mean he was a joy to watch this year, and I'm excited to see where he goes in the NFL. I feel like teams are going to sleep on him probably, and he should get picked on day 2. There's no way in hell that Emmett Johnson should be there, in day 3 of the draft, but he probably will be because NFL teams are kind of stupid sometimes. But somebody's going to get a steal in Emmett Johnson, and I think he'll contribute like right away. He can catch the ball. He's a good blocker. Like he can do it all. So someone, he kind of reminds me of is my Green Bay Packers, legend Aaron Jones, who now plays for the Vikings, but just like a guy that's, not another guy who's not very big, but who's had a very long career, just because like it's hard for guys to get, big hits on him. So
Amir Abdullah, speaking of long careers, has had a very long career and was a tremendous Husker back. And I felt that he was able to take care of his body in the same way that Emmett has been able to.
So yeah, it'll be fun. We'll have a few guys drafted this year. Sayer, right? Emmett Johnson. Maybe I still think Dane Key probably gets drafted near the later parts of the draft, like 7th round or so. But so I 3. Maybe Deshaun McCullough. Like he's probably like
a good UDFA. Unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe.
I'm probably like he might be a good enough athlete that if he tests really well, like he might be able to get drafted late, just because. Like some team might be like, if we can find him in this certain position. Regular season is done. Here's another question from Co. Do you feel better or worse than at the beginning of the season for the projection of the state of the program? That's a good question. I'll send it to you first, Danny. You feel better?
I mean, better. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're finally stable. We're not dealing with coach controversies. We're not dealing with losing to like Georgia Southern. We're not dealing with an athletic director who has 1 foot out the door. Although it wasn't the winning season that we wanted, I definitely feel better about the state of the program. I feel like the program is very healthy. It's just a matter of trying to, get to that next level. I mean, compared to where the program was, I feel very good about the state of the program.
I'm kind of conflicted. I feel like they're still at a crossroads. I was hoping that we would be in a better spot this year, in the sense that, I was hoping that we would be not like in a playoff game, but like in a, like the Citrus Bowl. Like I was hoping we would be, closer in that area where we've have like some significant wins, at least one significant win. Like we're going into year 4 and Matt Rule still doesn't have, I would say, a significant win as head coach. So like, like just a moment where I'm like, bam, that like progress, like beating Colorado was good. beating Cincinnati was good, but there's not like that win where I'm like, we're just like, there's no denying it. Like, there's no denying progress. Like, that's progress because you can see it on the field. Like, so I don't know. Like, I don't feel worse per se. I just feel like I do feel like that the 2025 season was a wasted opportunity. I think this team should have won more games. I think they like Matt Rule said in his postseason press conference, they should have won 9 games. Like that was there for the taking. So I don't necessarily feel worse. I don't feel better. I think that they're still kind of I still think we're in kind of judgment mode on Matt Rule. And so these next 2 years, I think are going to be really important. I do think he's made progress, but the progress probably not as much as I would like to have seen. And I do think that it's disappointing that things didn't work out with Rayola. That's not necessarily his fault, but that was like one of your first, major moves as head coach, and that didn't really work out the way you wanted it to. So I don't know. I don't necessarily feel worse or better. I still feel about the same as I did kind of going into the season. That's a long way to not really answer your question, I guess. Sorry about that, Cole, but that's kind of how I feel. I don't know. How do other people feel? I'd love to see what they think in the chat.
Yeah,
let's see. Co. So for me, things look like they are stagnant going into next year. The 2027 class gives hope, but is Rule on the hot seat after a tough schedule next year? That's where I kind of feel
for a lot of people, he's been on the
similar.
hot seat for like 2 years. So I don't know. I mean,
I would say, yeah, I do. I kind of feel more like I would say I feel closer to this than you feel, Danny. But I mean, if they have a losing season next year, I think he's going to be on the hot seat going into 2026.
That's fair.
Or 2027.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So to me, it's 6. You got to get to a bowl game, and and I know that feels like that's not like the thing, but that's my goal for next year. Just get to postseason play because that
schedule,
at least.
I was looking more into it, and it is not easy.
No, it is not. I mean, yeah, what Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Ohio State. Illinois, Iowa, I believe we have all 6 of those teams.
Well, I'm looking at the schedule right now. They don't have the
they don't have the dates yet, but
they have Indiana, Maryland, who's not going to be easy with Malik Washington, Ohio State, Washington, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan State with Mr. Fitzgerald. Welcome back, Mr. Fitzgerald. Oregon and Rutgers, who is always not easy. I don't care if they're 2-10, they're never an easy game.
So basically, you got your 3 bye games that you're gonna, Matt Rule's dominated those games, so I'm not worried about that.
I know you hate out of conference games, but this is a year where I really love the
well, that's because, that's because there's this whole college mindset of we can't have a losing season. Like at some point, people are gonna have to accept that college teams are gonna have losing records at some point. But anyway, I get So outside of those 3 games. The next 3 easiest Big Ten games are Maryland, which would be at home, Michigan State, which would be on the road because we played, they played in Lincoln last year. And then what was the other one you said? Rutgers. That would probably be on the road because they came to Lincoln 2024. So yeah, not easy. If those are the 3 games you got to win.
It's not going to have Luke Altmaier though, right?
That's true. No, they won't. But if you look at, so let's look at this schedule breakdown for a second here, though. So Nebraska's going to have to play 6 teams that won. No, yeah, because so I'm thinking about 9-win teams. That Nebraska's Illinois 9-4 won a bowl game. Washington 9-4 won a bowl game. Iowa's 8-4 with a chance to win a bowl game. So if Iowa wins their game today, Nebraska will have 6 teams on their schedule next season that's won 9 games. And honestly, what if there's a chance that Washington, Illinois, and Iowa, if they're all 9-4, probably all ranked, so Nebraska could be playing 6 teams that finish in the 2025, AP top 25. That's an incredibly difficult schedule. That might be the most difficult schedule in college football.
So I don't know if he's going to be on the hot seat next year. I think it depends on how they lose because that is a brutal schedule.
I do think it depends how they lose, yeah. Because if you are being competitive against the Indianas and Oregons, that's going to be one thing. Then if you're losing 40-0, that's really gonna next year's going to be interesting. If they can get 6 wins, I know that seems like a low bar, but I feel like that'll be a successful.
That's got to be the bar for next year. Yeah. I'm just looking at that's got to be the bar. And
if he wins 7 games next year, then hell, I'll put him in conversation for Big Ten Coach of the Year because. That's how tough that schedule is.
Reminds me a lot of a Northwestern type of schedule. But
Thoughts about getting an RB out of the portal? I think they're going to have to get two, James.
Yeah.
Probably at least one. It probably depends how they look today, but lots of
Who do you
really.
want?
I want Dylan Edwards, the guy from Kansas State. I know he was hurt part of last year, but I really like him.
Didn't he
So
transfer like 3 times from Colorado to?
yeah, he transferred from Colorado to Kansas State, and then yeah. So I mean, I know that's not a great look, but I really like in terms of what he can do. I think he'd be a great replacement for Emmett Johnson. Um, who's the? I'm trying to think who else was that we talked about that was connected to Nebraska. I know that Makai Frazier, the guy from Michigan State, has been. Oh yeah, Dalton Weisner from Texas. Keep an eye on him because he had 1,000 yards rushing in 2024. He led Texas in rushing yards this year. It was only like 600 yards, but Nebraska is very heavily in the mix for him, according to Tim Verges, and I think Pete Nakos too also reported that. It'll take a little bit of money, but I mean, like that's the one thing Nebraska has that to sell. Like, look what we just did with Emmett Johnson. So
Yeah, I would definitely keep an eye on Cam Edwards as well. He has a connection with EJ Barthel out of UConn. So
Fame, I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name, but yeah, the guy from Minnesota, Fame I have no idea how to pronounce it, but I do like him though. He was the Minnesota running back, and he's in the portal. Yeah, if you got those two, that would be legit, Co. So those are the kind of moves Nebraska needs to make. Like if they're gonna, if you're gonna compete against that schedule, you got to start acting like a big boy in the portal and getting those two. You know what I mean? Like getting those two backs would certainly do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean because we haven't acted like a big boy in the portal. I guess maybe to some degree last year, but
yeah.
I mean, we definitely gotta hit home runs in the portal. As much as we hate the portal, like we're gonna need it.
I don't hate the portal. It's just
Well, I mean, I kind of do. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of annoying. Like
it's basically you're rebuilding your roster every single season, and you're not guaranteed to have the same players coming back and building the program. I get the portal in terms of transferring and wanting better opportunities, but it's now just becoming like NFL free agency every year.
Yeah, and then the best teams scoop up the best. What's annoying is that unlike in the NFL where a lot of times it's the crappy teams will have money, and we're here it's like, oh, Oregon's going to get the best player. So, that's what's kind of annoying, but yeah, the Iowa State situation is tough. 16 players left on the roster. I think they have like one starter. I think almost every starter is gone.
Yeah.
It's tough. I don't know what to do about it. It's just, they're going to have to like add like 50 players from the portal, their next head coach. And that's, it's unfortunate, but I don't know how you should change it. I mean, you just, coaches are going to move. I think players have the right to move too. I don't like it. I don't think we should like it, but I understand it. So
yeah, a lot of people are pretending that this is like a one-way issue with the players leaving, but the coaches are just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, this the same thing happened to Washington after they played in the national championship game. They had a bunch of their guys go to the NFL, and then everybody else in that roster left. Like when Jed Fish took over that job, he had nothing. He had to basically add like 40 guys from he took a bunch of guys from Arizona. Like that's just what happens, and it's unfortunate. I don't like it. I hate it, but it's not going to change. So I do think that it's better now where players, can enter the portal 5 days after their coach is hired, as opposed to like when he was fired before. That was a bad rule. At least gives them a chance to, but like, a lot of these guys are probably going to go play for Matt Campbell at Penn State, or they're going to go, like the thing about Matt Campbell is that he built a truly incredible culture at Iowa State. I know a lot of people want to criticize him or whatever, but he built a really great culture. A lot of times, like he would ask so he would have the players would host recruits on visits, you know what I mean? And they would take them on their visits. He would go back and ask his current players, is this guy a fit for Iowa State? And if they said no, he wouldn't take him on the team. Like that's how culture driven this program was. And so like now that he's leaving, I feel like that you're not going to carry that culture over. So I just feel like all those guys are kind of walking away because they're like, we had something special, it's now gone, and we're going to go somewhere else and get paid. Because I feel like that he kind of defended against that mindset of like going to get paid because they had such a great culture, and now it's gone. And so I feel like that's also part of this.
It's just so interesting because to me, James Franklin to Matt Campbell, it's like that Spider-Man meme where the two Spider-Men are pointing at each other. I feel like it's basically the same thing. I don't know. We'll have to see. I just thought Penn State would be able to get somebody a little bit more high profile.
I guess like the thing I like about Matt Campbell, and it's kind of the reason I like Kyle Whittingham from Michigan though too, is like he's always done more with less. So, I'm excited to see what a guy like Matt Campbell can do when he has more, like when he has the resources of a Penn State, when he has the money of a Penn State. So I think it's, I think he's got a high floor. Like I think they won't be worse than they were with Franklin. They might not be better, but I feel like for them, at least it's a chance to try something else. And so, it's kind of the same thing for Michigan. It's just like the hope that, with more resources and a better roster, that Kyle Whittingham can do, what he did with Utah all those years. So I think both of those hires are high. Like I feel like they have high floors, and like the ceiling might not be like the ceiling's not quite what it was like with the Kenny Dillingham per se, but I feel like the floor is higher. So I don't know. I feel like both teams, as chaotic as those coaching searches were, and as bad as they were at times, I feel like they both ended up getting pretty good. Like honestly, I don't know who I would take outside of Lane Kiffin. Like I think Michigan and Penn State did pretty well.
I honestly don't understand the kind of making fun of Michigan for the Whittingham hire. I think that Whittingham is a very good coach, and right now the program needs more than just a good coach. They need stability. I mean, they really do need stability in the program, and I think Whittingham provides that 4 to 5 year window for stability. Because honestly, for Michigan, I think this is just more than about football. It's about rebuilding the image of the program.
Yeah, and trying to get back to Whittingham reminds me a lot of Jim Harbaugh, just in he just kind of has that tough mentality, like no nonsense. But yeah, just a guy that knows how to win. And that's like you looked at that team last year, like that team probably should have won more than 9 games or this season. And they just didn't have the coach to do it. So I feel like if they can keep their roster together, and if he's the coach, like watch out, because he's won a lot of games. So not necessarily saying like they're going to go win a national championship or anything, but you never know with a coach like that. So that's the thing with him and Campbell's. It's going to be interesting to see, like, for their entire careers, they've been coaching with, like half a deck, basically, like, you got a full deck of cards and they got half a deck of cards and they're still beating people. Mm-hmm. So that like my thing with Kyle Whittingham is like, I feel like he's the kind of coach, you go into a game, like he can beat you with his team and then he could walk across the field to take your team. And then, so you could switch teams and he could beat your ass again. And that's what a really good coach is. And to be honest, I'm not sure that Matt Rule is that coach. So like, we'll see over the next couple of years, but I've been wanting to see that from Matt Rule, and I just haven't like seen that part of him yet. And so like, hopefully we start to see that. Like today would be a great example. Today would be a great time to do that. Like Matt Rule needs to go win a game that nobody expects him to win as a head coach. Like that's what he's got to start doing. And today would be a good time to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is a perfect opportunity for the program to really not only win, but build something for the future and continue to build within the program. And, beating a ranked Utah team, that would definitely be a step in the right direction. And, it's just kind of interesting to me too. Like you have like the like 15th ranked team in the country, and they're playing in the Las Vegas Bowl. It seems like once you lose, you really get knocked down a little bit to the lower rungs. I think. I
think they're trying to make the Las Vegas Bowl like a bigger bowl game too. So like, I think that's part of it, because it always used to be like way earlier. And like I remember when the Las Vegas Bowl, man, I used to love the Las Vegas Bowl, because like when I was a kid, it was the MAC champion against the WAC champion. So it was like a battle of conference champions, and there was like, when I was growing up, and this is mid 90s, there was like 18 to 20 bowl games. So there wasn't very many. And I just always remember looking forward to the Las Vegas Bowl, because it was always the first bowl game. And it was a game that featured 2 conference champions, which I always thought, was cool. I wish we had more of that now in college football, but
I feel like they're trying to make the Pop-Tarts Bowl bigger too.
Yeah, which the Pop-Tarts Bowl is pretty cool. I actually like, there's a few games that are worth it. What's so funny is that people say like, oh, bowl games don't matter. Well, like, people who say bowl games don't matter are the teams that lose bowl games, and the teams that say that bowl games matter are the teams that win them. Because if Nebraska wins this game, like they're damn sure going to say the Las Vegas Bowl mattered. So, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, I feel like teams that don't really care, like, yeah, these games don't matter very much, but I don't know. Like I feel like if Nebraska wins this game, like they get a top 25 win, they have a ton of momentum going into next season, because they did it with a guy who's going to be back. Like it'd be one thing, like, like Luke Altmaier in Illinois. Like he's not coming back next year. Like it's a good way to end it, but like that win's
Thank
not really.
goodness.
Yeah, but like that win's not really doing that much for their program moving forward. But like Nebraska, that's different because like if your starting quarterback comes back next year and he's already beaten a top 15 team, like that confidence, like Nebraska just needs to know that they can beat a team like this, because every time we get in that situation, we fall apart. Nebraska falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like part of that, like with Michigan on their great run, they used to have the same issue. Like they couldn't beat top 25 teams, top 10 teams. Like that was a constant. And I remember there was one game in that 2021 season when they were down against Penn State on the road. They came back, they found a way to win, and that just like flipped the confidence switch for them. And then they beat Ohio State. Like I feel like they would have never beaten Ohio State had they not won that Penn State game. And I feel like Nebraska needs a win like that. They've got to get a victory. So then in the future, like when we play Illinois next year, we're like, oh, we've already beaten a team like this. Like things are going to get like, oh, we're down by 7 points in the fourth quarter. That's like, we've already came back and won in the situation. And I feel like that's kind of what Nebraska is missing. So that's why I do think this game matters.
I was just looking at James's comment. Lincoln Riley pulled an old Lincoln Riley last night. And man,
well, I didn't stay up and what happened in that.
They blew that game.
USC did.
Yeah. USC absolutely blew that game. I'm just looking at let's see, USC.
They blew our perfect bowl. They blew the Big Ten's perfect bowl record. Those bastards.
Yeah, TCU scored 10 in the fourth. Then they scored a touchdown in overtime following a USC field goal. And yeah, that's the thing about Lincoln Riley. Like he's a great coach, but he just can't seem to get over the hump. He wasn't able to do it at Oklahoma, and so far he's not proven to be able to do that at USC.
That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't stay up to watch the Alamo Bowl. That's a good one though. We've been in the Alamo Bowl a few times. Beat Northwestern. Right? That was the last time. Beat Michigan on there was a weird play where Michigan almost did like the band is out on the field play, and Nebraska won though. So
I actually posted a highlight on my page on that a couple years ago, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then the last time we went there before that, I think, was against Northwestern before we were in the Big Ten. We beat them like, oh my God, it was like 66-7 or something. The 2000 Nebraska team, which was actually a really good team. They just had some weird losses, and so they didn't end up getting to go to like a major bowl game. And poor Northwestern got they got
anger.
Yeah, that was oh my God, that was just a total beatdown. Anyways, it'd be fun to do that again. Although the Scott Frost, we did, I think, score almost 70 on Northwestern one time. So
2021.
So it would be
to like 7, I think.
Yeah, be fun to have more games like that. So
Jackie's Yacht, remember that? He had a day that day, and we thought he was going to be a really, really, really talented running back. He just couldn't put much together after that, I believe. So
yeah. So, all right, you guys. Well, I got to get going here in just a minute. So let's get our predictions in the chat. We've already, Danny and I did our predictions yesterday on our show, or Monday, on our show. Don't know what day it is on these holiday breaks, but we'll throw out our predictions again in case anything has changed. But just in the last couple minutes, if you're still following along, go ahead and throw your predictions in the chat if you'd like. Let's start with you, Danny. Still a 14-point. Nebraska's a 14-point underdog. Has your opinion changed at all in the last 2 days?
Probably not. I'm going to say 30-17 Utah. I personally am just excited for the transfer portal to open up and to turn the page on 2026. But Co says 30-27 Utah, and he doesn't think they can get over that. I'm not there yet either, but I think we're going to see some positive things today. I don't think 30-17 is kind of dismal, but I do think there will be stuff to build on for the future.
James has Nebraska winning by 3. I like it. I've got Nebraska losing 31-20. I think it's going to be similar to the USC game, where I feel like Nebraska's going to have a real legitimate chance to win the game. I just think there's going to be a couple of drives where we end up having to like settle for field goals, and then like late in the fourth quarter, they'll like, that's when they'll break off their long like touchdown run. It'll be like 24-20, and we're trying to like get the ball back, and they'll score late, and that'll kind of be deflating. But for 4 quarters, I do think that this team will make us proud, and I think that they're going to play hard today. So 31-20, Utah wins, but Nebraska covers the spread.
Dylan didn't get hurt. We win that USC game, and I'll always stand by that.
100%. Yeah. How different would things be right now if he had not gotten hurt? If they won that game, had they maybe then they probably would have beat UCLA. So then they would have been sitting at what, 8-2 going into the last, 2 weeks of the season. And yeah, I don't know. For as much as I've, been frustrated with Dylan, he is a good player, and Nebraska was better with him on the field for the most part. So like he did hold the ball too long, but I mean, for this season, he was better than TJ Lateef. Like there's a reason he was starting. So yeah, I don't know. It's disappointing that it all kind of turned on that one injury, it feels like.
Yeah, and I given how things played out, I can imagine that there was some stuff going on behind the scenes even before the injury that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
I feel like Dom probably was starting this kind of stuff way before the USC game, but I feel like the USC game just kind of pushed things over the edge and made it clear that this was not going to work in a weird way that we can just kind of look back on now and say that, but we didn't know it at the time. But I think the USC game kind of solidified a lot of things.
And I think maybe the UCLA game too gave him a hint, like there is life after Dylan. There can be other quarterbacks here, that we can have success with. So yeah, it's interesting how it all played out. It isn't how we thought it was going to play out, but things rarely work out how you think they're going to. So with that in mind, hopefully the Las Vegas Bowl doesn't work out how we all think it's going to. So but anyway, thanks for hanging out with us again, you guys. We're going to come back on Saturday for another chat. It'll be kind of a post-game chat. We'll look back at the Michigan State basketball game, and we'll get into some portal talk.
Chat for me.
So, birthday chat. All right, there we go.
So make sure to get everybody in there and talk about the Las Vegas Bowl and the Michigan State game, which is on Peacock. So
yeah, we'll get you hooked up, Danny. Don't worry, man. We'll get it for you.
Peacock stresses me, man. Peacock stresses me.
Now, if they ever start guarding their logins like Netflix, I'm gonna have a lot of football fans. Yeah, I got like 20 people on my Peacock now. I feel like so. I shouldn't have said that. Damn it! Now we're gonna get busted. So, anyways, but
I'll leave that one alone. Yeah.
As long as it's not before the Michigan State games.
I'll tell you, those Michigan teams are pesky with peacocks and all that. So
yeah. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out with us. If you haven't already, do us the big favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get into the comment section, and as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.